The pale blue of the nursery mobile, little smiling whales and starfish, spins lazily above a mountain of pastel-wrapped gift boxes. 40 pairs of eyes, belonging to friends and family who just moments ago were cooing over onesies and diaper cakes, now pretend not to stare. They pretend not to see Sarah, my wife, standing in the archway of our living room, hand in hand with Jessica. Jessica, the woman Sarah's been mentoring at work. Jessica, whose perfume I've smelled on Sarah's clothes for the past 3 months. A sharp crack cuts through the strained silence. I look down. The stem of my champagne flute has snapped in my grip, the bubbly pooling on the polished oak floorboards, shards of glass glinting like fallen stars. I taste copper in my mouth, a metallic tang of shock, and something else. Adrenaline. My pulse hammers a frantic rhythm against the inside of my collar. Sarah has the audacity to look surprised, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows arching. Jessica, beside her, just smirks, a small, triumphant quirk of her lips. Our baby shower, our baby, and she brings her. I force a smile, a rictus grin that probably looks as horrifying as it feels. My mind, usually a calm, ordered place, is a whirlwind of calculations. How long until the polite facade shatters completely? How many minutes, how many strained pleasantries until I can get these people, these witnesses to my humiliation out of my house? The house I bought, the nursery I painted. My fingers twitch towards my jacket pocket. Inside, the crisp folds of the custody papers I'd filed yesterday morning feel like a brand against my chest. Emergency ex parte order. Sarah has 18 hours. 18 hours until the county sheriff serves her with the truth of what she's done, and the reality of what I'll do to protect my child. Our daughter. The one she's carrying. The one she's already betraying. Across the room, amidst the frozen tableau of our guests, I catch Tom's eye. My best friend. He sees the shattered glass, the blood welling from a small cut on my palm, the thunder in my expression. He sees Sarah and Jessica, their linked hands a grotesque parody of partnership. I give a single, almost imperceptible nod. He understands. He always does. With a deep breath, Tom claps his hands together, his voice booming with false cheer. "All right, folks. Who wants to guess the baby's weight? Closest guess gets bragging rights and this giant teddy bear." He winks, already starting to subtly herd people towards the gift table, and more importantly, towards the front door. "Let's not keep the parents-to-be too long. They need their rest." Parents-to-be. The words are ash in my mouth. The next hour is a blur of forced smiles, murmured excuses, and the rustle of gift bags being gathered. Sarah, amazingly, tries to play the gracious hostess, Jessica a silent, smug shadow at her side. They circulate, Sarah's hand resting possessively on her swollen belly as she accepts congratulations, Jessica's eyes occasionally flicking to me with a look I can only describe as contemptuous pity. Or maybe it's just triumph. It doesn't matter. Let her have her small victory now. The war is just beginning. I manage to keep the mask in place, nodding, thanking people, even shaking a few hands with my uninjured one. Each departure is a small exhalation of relief. Tom is a miracle worker, gently but firmly ushering guests out, his easygoing charm a balm on the raw, exposed nerve of the situation. He even manages to get Sarah's overly chatty Aunt Carol out the door without her demanding a full explanation of the lovely young woman with Sarah. Finally, the last car pulls away. The silence they leave behind is heavy, thick with unspoken accusations and the lingering scent of baby powder and betrayal. Jessica is still here, of course. She's made herself comfortable on my sofa, kicking off her heels. Sarah is in the kitchen, pouring herself a large glass of water, her back to me. "Well?" Jessica says, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. That was eventful. I don't look at her. My focus is on the task at hand. The timer is ticking. While Sarah poses for photos with Jessica by the mountain of our unborn child's gifts, a grotesque tableau of domestic bliss shattered and rearranged into something monstrous, I slip upstairs. The nursery door is slightly ajar, the soft yellow walls we'd chosen together glowing faintly in the afternoon light. We'd argued for a week over that yellow. She'd wanted a garish pink. I'd wanted a calming blue. The yellow was our compromise. It seems like a lifetime ago. My movements are methodical, precise. I pull out the sturdy packing boxes I'd hidden in the spare room closet last night. One by one, I begin to dismantle the room. The mobile of smiling whales comes down first, its delicate strings tangled in my haste. I don't bother to untangle them, just stuff it into a box labeled Nursery Decorations. The tiny clothes, washed and folded with such care just days ago, gifts from my own mother, from Sarah's unsuspecting grandmother, are swept from the drawers of the changing table into another box. Nursery, clothes 0, 3 months. The rocking chair, the one I'd imagined spending countless nights in, soothing our crying baby, is too bulky to box. I'll deal with that later. Each item I pack is a fresh stab of pain, a visceral reminder of the future Sarah has stolen from us. From me. But there's no time for grief. Not yet. Grief is a luxury I can't afford. Right now it's about action, about control, protecting what's mine. The click of the packing tape gun is loud in the quiet house. Box after box is filled, sealed, labeled with surgical precision. Crib bedding, diapers, toys. The watercolor paintings of woodland creatures I'd painstakingly hung on the walls, all of it catalogued and contained. A shadow falls across the doorway. Sarah. Her arms are crossed, her face a mask of fury. Jessica hovers behind her, a curious, almost amused expression on her face. "What the hell are you doing, Marcus?" Sarah's voice is low, dangerous. I don't stop. I carefully fold a soft, knitted blanket, a gift from Tom's wife, and place it in a box. "Isn't it obvious?" I say, my voice flat, devoid of the emotion churning inside me. I reach for the packing tape. "I'm packing." "Packing the nursery? Are you insane?" She steps into the room, her eyes darting from the stacks of sealed boxes to the half-empty shelves. "No, Sarah." I finally look at her, meet her furious gaze with a coldness I didn't know I possessed. I think, for the first time in a long time, I'm perfectly sane. I seal another box with a decisive rip of tape. I'm protecting what's mine. Protecting it from me? Her voice rises, incredulous. "I'm her mother, Marcus." "And I'm her father," I counter, my voice hardening, a fact you seem to have conveniently forgotten. Jessica chooses that moment to speak, her tone smooth as silk. "Don't you think you're overreacting, Marcus? Sarah was just introducing me to her friends. It's a modern arrangement." I almost laugh. "A modern arrangement? Is that what you call sleeping with another woman's husband? Attending her baby shower as if you belong here?" My eyes flick to Sarah. "Is that what you told her this was?" Sarah has the grace to look away, a flush creeping up her neck. Before she can respond, my phone buzzes in my pocket. It's Tom. I answer it, keeping my eyes locked on Sarah. "Yeah, Tom?" "Just wanted to let you know." Tom's voice is calm, steady, a lifeline in the storm. "That little project we were working on, it's complete. Everything you need. Delivered to your email 5 minutes ago." A small, grim smile touches my lips. "Thanks, Tom. You're a lifesaver." I hang up. Tom. For months, ever since I'd first voiced my suspicions about Jessica, about the late nights at the office, the hushed phone calls, the sudden new lingerie that wasn't for my eyes, Tom had been my confidant, my investigator. He'd been documenting Sarah's affair. Methodically, diligently. Photos of her and Jessica leaving a boutique hotel downtown, hand in hand. Receipts from intimate dinners I wasn't invited to. Copies of hotel records, damningly clear. He'd even managed to get a statement from a bartender at a place they frequented, detailing their very public displays of affection. All of it compiled into a neat, undeniable package. Everything I needed for court. Everything that would show Sarah as unfit, unstable, and deceitful. Sarah watches me, her eyes narrowed. What was that about? Just tying up loose ends, I say, turning back to the last of the boxes. Something you should have thought about before you decided to detonate our lives. The doorbell rings, sharp and insistent. Once, twice. Sarah jumps. Who's that? I glance at my watch. 5:58 a.m. That, I say, allowing myself a sliver of grim satisfaction, would be the sheriff. Her face pales. The sheriff? Why? He has something for you. I pick up the last box, this one containing the baby monitor and a collection of lullaby CDs. You have 12 hours, Sarah. 12 hours to respond to the emergency custody petition before the hearing. I suggest you call your lawyer. Jessica, for the first time, looks genuinely alarmed. Sarah just stares at me, her mouth agape, the fight draining out of her, replaced by a dawning horror. The doorbell rings again, more insistent this time. I walk past them, out of the nursery that is no longer a nursery, just a room full of carefully labeled boxes, monuments to a shattered dream. You should probably get that, I say over my shoulder. They don't like to be kept waiting. The city lights of downtown glitter like scattered diamonds through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Jessica's loft. It's sleek, minimalist, all chrome and glass, a stark contrast to the warm, lived-in chaos of our home, or what used to be our home. I'm parked across the street, in the shadows of a multi-story garage, Tom's high-powered telephoto lens bringing their drama into sharp focus. He's next to me, a silent, reassuring presence, occasionally murmuring updates. Sarah is pacing, a caged animal in designer athleisure wear, her phone pressed to her ear. Her voice, even from this distance, muffled by glass and concrete, sounds frantic. Jessica stands by the window, arms crossed, watching Sarah with an expression I can't quite decipher. Impatience? Annoyance? Maybe even a hint of fear. The smug confidence from the baby shower has definitely evaporated. He what? Sarah's voice cracks, audible even through the lens as a faint, high-pitched shriek. Tom, who has a directional mic rigged up, he really thought of everything. Winces. Lawyer's dropping some truth bombs, Tom mutters, adjusting a dial. Apparently, he just explained the implications of you filing first, Marcus, with our evidence package attached. On the other end of Sarah's call is Arthur Vance, her notoriously aggressive divorce attorney, or soon-to-be ex-attorney, if the look on Sarah's face is anything to go by. Abandonment, Sarah screeches. He's accusing me of abandonment? He's the one who kicked me out. Even from here, I can almost hear Vance's weary sigh. Tom fills in the blanks, his voice a low murmur. Vance is explaining that you showing up with your mistress to your own baby shower, followed by Marcus's meticulously documented petition citing infidelity and intent to create a stable environment for the child, kind of trumps any claim of him kicking you out without cause, especially since he has the receipts for, well, everything. Sarah sinks onto a ridiculously expensive-looking white leather sofa, her head in her hands. Jessica finally moves, walking over to place a hand on Sarah's shoulder, though it looks more like a gesture of restraint than comfort. There has to be something you can do, Arthur, Sarah wails. He can't just take my baby. A long pause. Tom glances at me. This is the part where Vance tells her the evidence package is… What was the word he used? Oh yeah, damning. Jessica is now speaking to Sarah, her voice sharp, cutting through Sarah's distress. I can't make out the words, but her body language is clear. She's angry, very angry. You said he was clueless, Sarah. Jessica's voice, amplified by Tom's mic, suddenly cuts through. Crystal clear. You swore he wouldn't suspect a thing until after the baby was born and we were long gone. Long gone? A cold knot forms in my stomach. This is worse than I thought. Sarah looks up, her face tear-streaked, defensive. He was supposed to be. How was I to know he'd hire a private investigator? How was I to know he'd react like this? He's not reacting, Sarah. He's acting, Jessica snaps. He's 10 steps ahead of you, ahead of us. She whirls away from Sarah, running a hand through her perfectly styled hair. My career, Sarah. If this gets messy, if my name is dragged through the mud because your husband is surprisingly competent… He's not competent, he's obsessed, Sarah retorts, grabbing onto a new narrative. He's controlling. We can use that. Jessica stops pacing. A slow, calculating look comes over her face. She turns back to Sarah. Obsessed, controlling, unstable? Sarah nods eagerly, wiping her eyes. Yes, he's clearly unstable. Packing up the nursery like a madman? Who does that? We can say he's having a breakdown, that he's not fit to be a father. A sick feeling churns in my gut. They're going to try and paint me as the villain. Of course they are. Then we make him look unstable, Jessica says, her voice now calm, predatory. We fight dirty. We have to. He's left us no choice. They embrace then, a brief, desperate cling. It's not a hug of affection, but one of co-conspirators solidifying a pact. Tom lowers the camera. Charming pair, he says, his voice laced with disgust. You ready for this, Marcus? Because they're going to come at you with everything they've got. I watch them through the windshield, two figures silhouetted against the glittering, indifferent city. The concrete walls of the parking garage seem to press in, echoing our whispered strategy session. From the night before, Tom and me hunched over my kitchen table, fueled by coffee and righteous anger. We'd anticipated this. We'd hoped Sarah would see reason, would try to salvage some dignity, but we'd planned for the worst. Let them try, I say, my voice hard. They think I was clueless. They're about to find out just how wrong they were. The knot in my stomach tightens, but it's not fear. It's resolve. They want to make me look unstable? I'll show them stable. I'll show them a father who will burn down the world to protect his child from predators like them. The hearing is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. They have less than 24 hours to build their case of my alleged instability. I have a head start. And I have Tom. And I have the truth. It's a powerful arsenal. The stark white walls of the family courtroom feel cold, sterile. It's a far cry from the warm yellow I'd painted in the nursery. Sarah sits at the opposing table, flanked by Vance, who looks like he's aged 10 years overnight, and Jessica, who's trying for an air of concerned solidarity, but just looks predatory. Sarah's counterfiling, delivered by a harried courier just an hour ago, is a masterpiece of fiction. It paints me as emotionally volatile, prone to fits of rage, controlling and manipulative. It claims my packing of the nursery was a destructive rampage, a sign of my unraveling mental state designed to traumatize Sarah and assert dominance. It even twists my careful documentation and swift legal action into proof of a premeditated, vindictive plan to steal her child. It's a desperate, ugly attempt to discredit me, to make me seem unfit for custody. For a moment, reading through the venomous accusations, a sliver of doubt pierces my resolve. What if the judge believes even a fraction of this? My lawyer, Helen Ramirez, a sharp, no-nonsense woman Tom had recommended, squeezes my arm reassuringly. "Standard mudslinging, Marcus. We expected this. We're ready." Judge Martinez enters, a stern-faced woman with eyes that miss nothing. The room falls silent. She reviews the filings, her expression unreadable. "Miss Ramirez, Mr. Vance. This is an emergency hearing regarding the custody of an unborn child. Mr. Sterling filed first, citing significant concerns. Miss Sterling has counterfiled, alleging equally significant concerns. A troubling situation." Vance launches into his opening statement, his voice smooth, persuasive. He paints Sarah as the victim, a loving mother-to-be terrified by her husband's erratic behavior. He describes my destruction of the nursery, my obsessive surveillance. He implies I'm a danger. I listen, my jaw tight, my hands clenched. It's a compelling narrative if you don't know the truth. Then it's Helen's turn. She's calm, factual, dismantling Vance's arguments piece by piece. She presents the initial evidence package, the photos, the receipts, the hotel records. Each one is a nail in the coffin of Sarah's credibility. She explains that my actions were those of a concerned father preparing to protect his child from an unstable and duplicitous environment. And as for Miss Sterling's claims of Mr. Sterling's emotional instability, Helen says, her voice ringing with conviction, we have evidence that directly contradicts this assertion. Evidence that shows a pattern of calculated deceit not from my client, but from Miss Sterling herself. She looks at Judge Martinez. Your Honor, we would like to play a recording, a phone call between Miss Sterling and her sister recorded 2 days ago. Vance leaps to his feet. Objection, Your Honor. Illegal recording. Invasion of privacy. Helen smiles faintly. Perfectly legal, Your Honor. A one-party consent state. Miss Sterling's sister was aware the call was being recorded. She provided it to us willingly. Sarah gasps, her head whipping around to stare at Jessica, then back at Vance, her face ashen. Her own sister. Judge Martinez overrules the objection. Proceed, Miss Ramirez. Helen nods to the court clerk. The audio fills the courtroom. Sarah's voice, high-pitched and frantic, unmistakably hers. He knows, Jenna. He knows about Jessica. He served me with custody papers this morning. Jenna's voice, calm and disapproving. Sarah, what did you expect? You brought the woman to your baby shower. How could you be so stupid? I don't know. I panicked. Jessica said he was clueless, that we could handle him. But he's packing up the nursery, Jenna. He's acting crazy. Jenna's sigh is audible. Is he acting crazy, Sarah? Or is he finally reacting to you acting like a fool for months? You've been having an affair. You lied to him. You were planning to… What was it? Move to Chicago with Jessica and the baby after it was born and not tell him? A choked sob from Sarah on the recording. Yes, but he wasn't supposed to find out. It was a solid plan. Jessica had jobs lined up, a new apartment. The courtroom is utterly silent, save for Sarah's recorded confession. Her own words damning her. The plan to disappear. The calculated deceit. Jessica shifts uncomfortably beside Sarah, her eyes darting towards the exit. Judge Martinez's expression is grim. She looks at Sarah, then at Vance. Mr. Vance, do you have anything to say to this? Vance looks utterly defeated. No, Your Honor. The judge nods slowly. I've heard enough for today. Temporary custody is awarded to Mr. Sterling, pending a full investigation and psychological evaluations for both parties. Miss Sterling, your visitation rights will be supervised and extremely limited until such time as this court is satisfied you pose no risk to the child, emotionally or otherwise. And Miss Sterling, her gaze hardens, any attempts to leave the state with the child will be met with the full force of the law. Sarah stares blankly ahead, her shoulders slumped. Jessica is already inching her chair away. The flash forward hits me then, unbidden. A sudden, vivid image. I'm standing in this very courtroom, sunlight streaming through the high windows. I'm holding my daughter, Amelia, 6 months old, her tiny hand gripping my finger. She's gurgling, a happy, healthy baby. Across the room, Sarah's new lawyer, a cheaper, less confident version of Vance, is packing his briefcase, his face etched with the bitter taste of defeat. Sarah is nowhere to be seen. Just the quiet hum of an empty courtroom and the warmth of my daughter in my arms. A future bought with pain and perseverance. The image fades as quickly as it came, leaving a lingering sense of hope, of rightness. I don't waste a second reveling in the small victory of the judge's interim order. There's no time for betrayal to fester. No time for the sting of Sarah's accusations to linger. As soon as Judge Martinez adjourns, I'm on my phone, dialing Helen. "Helen, that recording," I say, my voice low, urgent, as I step out into the courthouse corridor. "I need a copy, and I need you to arrange a conference call. Sarah's parents, her sister Jenna. I want them to hear it directly from you. I want them to know exactly what their daughter was planning." Helen doesn't question it. "Consider it done, Marcus. They need to understand the gravity of the situation. It might be the only thing that makes Sarah see sense. If Sarah won't protect our child, I will. And I'll use every tool, every ally, every piece of her own deceit against her to do it. Her family needs to know who she's become. They need to know she was going to steal her own child, my child, and vanish. Maybe then, they'll stop enabling her. Maybe then, they'll finally see the Sarah I now see. A stranger wearing my wife's face. The polished marble floors of the courthouse gleam under the harsh fluorescent lights. It's 1:45 p.m. The emergency hearing Judge Martinez scheduled is in 15 minutes. 15 minutes to present the final, irrefutable proof of Sarah's unsuitability as a mother. I clutch the small, innocuous flash drive in my hand. It feels cold, heavy with the weight of betrayal it contains. Tom's tech contact, a shadowy figure he refers to only as Shadowbite, had come through spectacularly. Deleted emails, recovered from the depths of Sarah's laptop hard drive, resurrected like ghosts to testify against her. Sarah and Jessica are already there, huddled with Vance in a tense, whispered conference near the courtroom doors. Sarah looks pale, drawn, dark circles under her eyes. Jessica, however, seems to have regained some of her composure, her expression a carefully constructed mask of concern. Vance just looks like he wants to be anywhere else. As I approach with Helen, Sarah spots me. Her eyes, red-rimmed and accusing, fix on mine. She pushes past Vance, confronting me in the hallway. "You!" she hisses, her voice trembling with rage. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Tearing my life apart." "This is the life you built, Sarah," I reply, my voice steady, calm. The forced calm of a man who has seen the abyss and is determined not to fall in. "I'm just exposing the foundations." "Exposing? You hacked my computer. That's illegal. You violated my privacy." Helen steps forward slightly. "Actually, Miss Sterling, the laptop in question was a shared household asset, purchased with joint funds. Mr. Sterling had every right to access it, especially given his concerns about your activities and the welfare of your unborn child." Sarah sputters, momentarily silenced by the legal accuracy. Jessica places a restraining hand on her arm. "Sarah, don't. Let Arthur handle this." "Handle what?" I meet Jessica's cool gaze. "The truth? It's a little late for that, isn't it?" I hold up the flash drive. Funny things, deleted emails. They never truly disappear. Sarah's eyes widen. "What emails? What are you talking about?" "Oh, I think you know, Sarah," I say, the memory of those cold, calculating words, her words, burning in my mind. The ones to Jessica, the ones outlining your meticulous plans. I take a step closer, lowering my voice so only she and Jessica can hear. The ones where you discuss lease applications for an apartment in Chicago? The job offers Jessica secured for both of you? The ones where you talk about how you'll tell me the baby died during childbirth so I wouldn't come looking for you? The color drains from Sarah's face, leaving her chalky white. Even Jessica looks stunned, her composure finally cracking. She hadn't known about that last, particularly cruel detail, I realize. Sarah hadn't shared that little gem of her plan with her lover. "You wouldn't," Sarah whispers, her voice hoarse. "You wouldn't tell a father his child was dead." "Wouldn't I, Sarah?" I press, the image of her lies twisting in my gut. "What depths wouldn't you sink to? You were going to erase me from our child's life, steal her away, and leave me with a lifetime of unimaginable grief. Also, you could start fresh with your protégé." The word tastes like acid. "I never abandoned anyone!" Sarah cries, her voice cracking, tears finally spilling over. It's a desperate, reflexive denial. But it's too late. The evidence is irrefutable. "Then explain the lease application for the Chicago apartment in both your names, signed and dated 3 weeks ago," I say, my voice like ice. "Explain the pediatrician you'd already selected in Lincoln Park. Explain the one-way flight confirmations for 2 weeks after your due date. Each detail is a hammer blow." Sarah flinches, speechless. Jessica stares at her, a horrified, dawning understanding in her eyes. She's realizing just how deep Sarah's deceit ran, how much she herself had been manipulated. The courtroom doors open. Judge Martinez's clerk calls out, "All parties for Sterling versus Sterling, please enter the courtroom." Helen gives me a nod. "It's time, Marcus." As we walk in, Vance is frantically whispering to Sarah, who looks utterly broken. Jessica stands apart, her face pale, her eyes fixed on Sarah with a look of cold fury. The alliance, it seems, is well and truly shattered. Judge Martinez looks down at us from the bench, her expression severe. "Mr. Sterling, Miss Ramirez, you indicated you have new evidence of a time-sensitive nature?" Helen nods. "We do, Your Honor. Emails recovered from Miss Sterling's personal laptop, detailing a concrete plan to abscond from the state with the child immediately after birth, to conceal the child's whereabouts from Mr. Sterling, and to fraudulently inform him of the child's demise." A collective gasp ripples through the small, packed courtroom. Sarah's parents, who I'd ensured were present, look stricken. Her mother covers her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. "This evidence," Helen continues, her voice ringing with authority, "demonstrates an immediate and severe flight risk, as well as a profound level of premeditated deception that speaks directly to Miss Sterling's character and fitness as a parent. We have copies for the court and for opposing counsel." She hands the flash drive to the clerk. Judge Martinez's gaze is like granite as she accepts the drive. She looks at Sarah, then at Vance. "Mr. Vance, I trust you have a compelling explanation for this." Vance, looking like a man who's just seen his career flash before his eyes, can only shake his head. "Your Honor, we were not aware of these specific communications." He throws a venomous glare at Sarah. The judge nods slowly, her lips a thin, hard line. "I see." She glances at the clock. "Given the extreme nature of these allegations and the potential imminent risk to the child, I am expediting this hearing. We will review this evidence now. Be seated." 4 hours. 4 hours before Sarah could potentially act on her desperate plans. 4 hours to lay bare the full extent of her betrayal and secure my daughter's future. The flash drive is plugged in. The courtroom waits. The silence is deafening. The courtroom is a pressure cooker. the air thick with unspoken accusations and the raw, palpable grief of Sarah's own family. Her mother, a woman who had always treated me like a son, sits in the front row, her face a mask of disbelief and sorrow. Her testimony, just moments ago, had been the killing blow. "Yes," Mrs. Henderson had said, her voice trembling but firm, when Helen asked if Sarah had ever discussed her plans for after the baby's birth. She told me she was unhappy, that she felt trapped. Tears streamed down her face. She said she and Jessica were planning to move away, to Chicago, to start over. She said Marcus would never understand, that he'd try to stop her. Helen's voice was gentle. Did she mention how she planned to prevent Mr. Sterling from stopping her, Mrs. Henderson? A choked sob. She said it would be easier if he thought the baby... She couldn't finish the sentence, her composure crumbling. Her husband, Sarah's father, put a comforting arm around her, his own face grim. The weight of that confession, a mother admitting her own daughter's cruel intentions, hangs heavy in the room. Sarah stares at her hands, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Jessica is gone, having made a swift exit after the email evidence was presented, muttering something about needing her own lawyer. Vance looks like he's aged another decade. Now it's the final confrontation. Judge Martinez has allowed a brief, final statement from both Sarah and me before she delivers her ruling on permanent custody. I stand, my hands gripping the edge of the table. My voice, when I speak, is low, raw with the pain of the last few months, but steady. Did you ever love me, Sarah? I ask, the question that has haunted my sleepless nights. She finally looks up, her eyes hollow. I thought I did, she whispers, her voice barely audible. A long time ago, before I realized I didn't know who I was. And our daughter? My voice cracks slightly on the word daughter. Did you ever love her, or was she just a pawn in your escape plan? A flicker of something. Pain? Guilt? Crosses her face. She deserves better than lies, she says. A strange echo of my own thoughts. She deserves a mother who is whole, who is happy. Finally, I say, a bitter taste in my mouth. Something we agree on. Her head snaps up, a spark of defiance in her eyes. You can't take her from me, Marcus. I'm her mother. Watch me, I reply, the words cold, hard. I slide a document across the table to Vance. The signed custody agreement, the one Helen had drafted, granting me sole legal and physical custody, with strictly supervised therapeutic visitation for Sarah, contingent on her completing a year of intensive psychiatric counseling and maintaining a stable, independent lifestyle. My wedding ring, which I'd slipped off my finger just this morning, clinks softly against the polished wood of the table as my hand retreats. A small, metallic punctuation mark on the end of our marriage. This isn't over, Marcus, Sarah says, her voice rising, a hint of the old fire returning. You can't just erase me. You erased yourself, Sarah, I say quietly. When you chose Jessica, when you chose Chicago, when you chose to lie about our child's very existence. Judge Martinez clears her throat, her gaze sweeping over us. The courtroom holds its breath. This has been one of the most distressing custody cases I have presided over, she begins, her voice resonating with judicial authority. The level of premeditated deceit demonstrated by Miss Sterling is, frankly, appalling. She looks directly at Sarah. Your actions have shown a profound disregard for the emotional well-being of your child, and for the fundamental rights of Mr. Sterling as a father. Your plan to not only abscond with the child, but to falsely report her death is beyond the pale. Sarah flinches as if struck. Therefore, Judge Martinez continues, based on the overwhelming evidence presented, and in the best interests of the child, I am awarding sole legal and physical custody of the minor child, Amelia Sterling, to the father, Mr. Marcus Sterling. A wave of relief, so profound it almost buckles my knees, washes over me. I close my eyes for a moment, a silent prayer of thanks on my lips. Miss Sterling, the judge's voice softens fractionally, you will be granted supervised visitation twice a month for 2 hours at a court-approved facility. This is contingent upon your immediate enrollment in psychiatric counseling and a full psychological evaluation, the results of which are to be submitted to this court. Any failure to comply will result in the immediate suspension of these limited visitation rights. She pauses, her eyes meeting mine. Mr. Sterling, while the court grants you this custody, I want to be clear. This arrangement is not set in stone indefinitely. Miss Sterling, should she demonstrate significant, sustained rehabilitation and a genuine commitment to responsible parenting, may petition the court for a review of this custody arrangement. Her gaze shifts back to Sarah, a warning glint in her eyes. But let me be unequivocal, Miss Sterling. That will be a very steep hill to climb. You have a long road ahead of you to prove you are capable of putting your child's needs above your own. Then, to me, a final, unexpected seed of future uncertainty. This court will automatically review this arrangement in 6 months, Mr. Sterling, to ensure the child is thriving and that all parties are adhering to the spirit and letter of this order. 6 months, another timer. But for now, Amelia is safe. She's mine. That's all that matters. Vance quietly gathers his papers, his face a study in defeat. Sarah sits, frozen, as the reality of the judgment washes over her. The fight is over. Or at least, this battle is. The clatter of a spoon against a ceramic bowl is a familiar, comforting sound in the bright, airy kitchen. Amelia, now 6.5 months old, gurgles happily in her high chair, her tiny fists banging on the tray as I spoon mashed sweet potato into her eager mouth. Her eyes, the same deep blue as Sarah's, crinkle at the corners when she smiles, which is often. She is a happy baby, a testament to the peace and stability I've fought so hard to give her. The past 6 months have been a whirlwind of diapers, late-night feedings, first smiles, and an overwhelming, all-consuming love I never knew I was capable of. The nursery, once a symbol of betrayal, is now her sanctuary, repainted in a soft, cheerful green, filled with her laughter and the scent of baby lotion. We renovated this kitchen together, Sarah and I, in what feels like another lifetime. We'd argued over the backsplash, the color of the cabinets, the type of countertops. Now it's just me and Amelia, making new memories in the spaces haunted by the ghosts of old ones. Sarah has been compliant. She attends her therapy sessions, submits to her evaluations. Her supervised visits are strained, awkward affairs. Amelia, oblivious, mostly sleeps or fusses in her presence. Sarah watches her with a hunger, a desperation that makes my stomach clench. She's alone now. Jessica, true to form, vanished shortly after the final hearing, her career ambitions outweighing any lingering loyalty to Sarah. Sarah's parents are civil, supportive of Amelia, but their relationship with their daughter is fractured, perhaps irreparably. Through the kitchen window, overlooking the driveway, I see a familiar car pull up. Sarah's beat-up sedan. She's early for her scheduled therapy debrief with the court-appointed social worker, a meeting I'm obligated to attend briefly. She's alone. I watch as she kills the engine, her silhouette small, almost fragile, behind the wheel. She doesn't get out immediately, just sits there, staring at the house. Our house. The house where we built a life, and where she systematically dismantled it. Amelia lets out a happy squeal, demanding another spoonful of sweet potato. I turn back to her, my heart swelling. All right, my little sweet pea, here it comes. When I glance back out the window, Sarah is finally out of the car. She walks slowly up the driveway, her gaze fixed on the front door. Her keys are in her hand. The spare set she never returned. She hesitates at the foot of the porch steps, her shoulders slumped. For a long moment she just stands there, the keys glinting in the afternoon sun. I can almost feel her indecision, her turmoil from here. What is she thinking? Is she remembering the dreams we once shared for this house, for the family we were supposed to be? Or is she simply steeling herself for another difficult conversation? Then, with a small, almost imperceptible shake of her head, she turns. She doesn't look back. She just walks away, back down the driveway, gets into her car, and drives off. The keys are still in her hand. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Some battles don't end with a resounding victory, with cheering crowds and vanquished foes. Some battles end quietly, with a slow retreat, a tacit admission of defeat, a surrender, not to an enemy, but to the devastating consequences of one's own choices. Amelia bangs her spoon again, a messy orange smile on her face. I smile back. The future is still uncertain. The 6-month review looms, but for now, in this sunlit kitchen, with my daughter's laughter filling the air, there is a fragile peace. And for now, that is enough.